You woke up last night, didn't you? Maybe 2 a.m., maybe 3, maybe 3:47. And the second your eyes opened, your brain started attacking you. Why am I awake? What's wrong with me? Why does this keep happening? You stared at the ceiling. You checked the time. You checked it again. And that feeling, that quiet, creeping feeling that something inside you is broken, started to settle in. But here's what nobody in your entire life ever told you. That moment is 10,000 years old. That waking, that stillness, that strange clarity in the middle of the night. It didn't start with you. It started with the very first humans who ever sat beside a fire and watched the darkness. And the fact that it scares you today? That's the newest thing about it. In 2001, a psychiatrist named Thomas Ware ran an experiment that quietly broke everything scientists thought they knew about human sleep. He took a group of completely healthy adults. No sleep disorders, no anxiety, no medical conditions. And he did one thing. He removed all artificial light from their lives. No lamps, no screens, no televisions, no streetlights bleeding through curtains. Nothing. Just darkness from sunset to sunrise. 14 hours a night. And then he waited. The first week, not much changed. The second week, people started sleeping a little differently. But by the third week, something happened that stopped the entire research team. Every single participant, without being told, without being guided, without any suggestion, completely changed their sleep pattern. They stopped sleeping in one long block. They started sleeping in two. First sleep 4 hours, then they woke naturally. Stayed awake for an hour, sometimes closer to 2. Then drifted back into a second deeper sleep until morning. No alarm woke them. No disorder caused it. No anxiety triggered it. Their bodies just remembered. Like a file that had been sitting in a folder unopened for 100 years suddenly ran on its own. And here's the part that genuinely stunned the researchers. When they interviewed participants about those wakeful middle hours, they expected to hear frustration. They expected to hear this was uncomfortable or disorienting. Instead, every single person said the same thing. Peaceful. They used words like calm, still, clear, quiet. One participant said it felt like thinking without trying. Another said it was the most present they had felt in years. Ware wrote in his research notes that the mental state participants described was something modern humans almost never experience anymore. A deep, effortless, wakeful stillness. And every single one of your ancestors visited that state every single night. You inherited that. It still lives inside you. It still tries to arrive. Every night. To understand why this matters, you have to stop thinking about sleep and start thinking about darkness. Real darkness. Not the kind where you can still make out the shape of your furniture. Not the kind where a street light draws a thin orange line across your ceiling. I mean real darkness. The kind that existed for almost all of human history. The kind where you open your eyes and you see absolutely nothing. For millions of years, that was every night. And then roughly 400,000 years ago, possibly earlier, humans learned to control fire. And the night changed. Forever. Now most people hear that and think warmth, cooking, protection from predators. The basics. But anthropologists who spent years living with and studying modern hunter-gatherer tribes discovered something that reframed everything. Something that tells us exactly what your brain was built for. During the day, conversations inside these tribes are almost entirely practical. Where's the water? When do we move? How is the food supply? What tools do we need? Survival talk. Work talk. Logistics. But the moment the sun disappears, the moment the fire becomes the only light in the world, the conversation completely transforms. People start telling stories. Not instructions. Not plans. Not survival information. Stories. Adventures. Moral dilemmas. The time a hunter faced an impossible choice and what he decided. The woman who walked into a strange valley and what she found there. Dreams people had. Funny moments. Terrifying moments. People who died years ago described so vividly they almost seemed to be sitting right there. The campfire became the first classroom humanity ever had. The first theater. The first library. The first place where a community passed everything it knew to the people who would carry it forward. Picture a child 7 years old sitting as close to the fire as they're allowed. Eyes wide, not moving, completely absorbed. An elder begins speaking. The whole tribe goes quiet. The darkness wraps around everyone like a wall. And for the next hour, every person enters the same story. That child isn't just being entertained. That child is learning what the world is. What courage looks like from the inside. what jealousy does to a person over years, how to read the difference between a real threat and a false one, what it feels like to lose someone and survive it anyway. All of it absorbed through story before a single word was ever written down. That is what your brain was built inside of. Fire, darkness, voice, story. And then long after the stories ended, long after the fire burned lower, long after the tribe went quiet, your ancestors woke. And they sat in the dark alone with everything they'd heard, just thinking. Scientists now have a theory about what those wakeful nighttime hours actually did. And it changes everything about how we understand human thought. During the day, your brain is in execution mode, reacting, deciding, moving, responding, surviving. There is almost no space for anything deeper to surface. But in those quiet hours between first sleep and second sleep, something different happens. The brain shifts. Memories from the day begin to consolidate. Emotions that had no room to process during daylight slowly rise. Thoughts that couldn't compete with noise and demand finally arrive. It's not insomnia. It's not dysfunction. It's integration. Your brain doing the work that only silence makes possible. And here's the historical proof that this was completely normal for almost all of human history. In 1667, a doctor named Tobias Whitaker wrote about first sleep and second sleep as if describing something every reader already understood. In the 1300s, Geoffrey Chaucer mentioned it casually the way someone today might mention breakfast. Medieval prayer books, actual structured religious documents, scheduled specific prayers for the wakeful hours between sleeps. Not prayers for when you couldn't sleep. Prayers designed for when you would wake. Because everyone did. This wasn't insomnia. This wasn't anxiety. This wasn't a disorder. This was Tuesday. Then somewhere between 1870 and 1910 it disappeared. From medical texts, from diaries, from literature, from everyday conversation. Not because human biology changed. Because the lights came on. Gas lamps first. Then electric bulbs. Then the sky above every city began glowing even at midnight. Sleep got pushed later, compressed into a single block. And the quiet middle hours, the ancient hours, the hours your ancestors used for reflection and stillness were reclassified. Not as a natural human experience. As a symptom. Sleep disorder. Insomnia. Something to fix. Something wrong with you. And the next generation grew up believing that. And taught their children. Who taught their children? Who taught you? Your brain, the one running right now, was not designed for this world. I don't mean that as a metaphor. I mean it as a biological fact. Your brain runs on an operating system written entirely in firelight. It was calibrated for darkness that begins at sunset. For silence that isn't interrupted every 4 minutes. For nights that stretch long and slow instead of being compressed and rushed. When electric light arrived, it happened overnight in evolutionary terms. Your DNA hasn't updated. Your circadian system hasn't updated. The ancient wiring, the wiring that still tries to run its program every single night, hasn't updated. So your body does what it always did. It wakes you. It opens a window of quiet. It offers you for 1 hour in the middle of the night the clearest, stillest, most reflective mental state you are biologically capable of. And you panic. You check the clock. You calculate how many hours you have left. You reach for your phone. You flood your brain with light and noise and information. And you destroy the exact thing your biology was trying to give you. That quiet. That ancient quiet. The one your ancestors sat inside every single night for 50,000 years. Gone. In seconds. So, next time it happens. Next time you wake at 2 a.m. and the ceiling is above you and the dark is around you and the silence is waiting. Don't reach for the phone. Just lie there. Let the quiet be what it is. Let your mind move without chasing it. Because what you're feeling isn't a malfunction. It's a memory. Not a memory from your own life. A memory from something much older. From the part of you that sat beside fires, that learned the world through stories, that watched the stars from complete darkness, that woke in the night and didn't fear it. 50,000 years of human nights are stored somewhere inside your biology. Every ancestor you have ever had survived long enough to pass something forward. And part of what they passed is this. The ability to be still. In the dark. Alone. Without fear. Your brain still knows how to do that. It's been trying to show you every single night. It's still there, waiting for you to stop running from it. If this changed how you see sleep, send it to one person who wakes up at 3 a.m. and thinks something is wrong with them. Because now they'll know they're not broken. They're just ancient.